winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the Culture Club.
KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson, celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Finish Line Express is now open at Cars Plus in Mighty. The state-of-the-art car wash is now open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime.
Health and safety woes led to hours of talks over the conditions in the island's public schools. Nestor Lecanto with a look on the hearing on a proposed bill that would ramp up inspections.
A defendant facing serious murder charges for the killing of a Hoggett man is back in court today. The victim's family sharing their anger during the hearing. I'm Julian Hernandez with more inside the courtroom.
The military sharing its plans for buildup in the region with the new administration. I'm Tomas Magloño with the story, speaking with top officials exclusively about their plans in the region.
Hafidades and buenas noches. Bienvenido para KUAM News Primetime. Guahusinik Delgado.
Zaguahusi Destiny Cruz. Sizos maasi puri mañana mizu guini na programa.
Well, Public Health admits that if all public schools underwent health and sanitary inspections today, most, if not all, will probably fail.
That sobering assessment came out during a lengthy public hearing Thursday night on a bill to require schools to comply with sanitation standards by this fall. Nestor Lecanto reports.
GDOE had 5 years to meet the sanitation rules and regulations. A bill by Senator Chris Barnett bumps up the deadline from next June to this September and requires Public Health to complete all site inspections by then. Environmental Division Chief Tom Nadeau.
So if you're asking me how many schools, how many of the GDOE 40 schools that might reach on closure, as commented in our testimony, except for the newer built schools, probably most, if not all, will fail.
But he adds that it would take close to 2 years to complete all.
Priority, it is, but we have to find that balance.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the schools are a priority, because when you're talking about the inspections that you're conducting, and you've only inspected 5 schools since 2021.
We can say that for the same thing for restaurants, sir, and everyone, let's not get our stuff, everyone eats and everyone enjoys going to the restaurants. There are numerous eating facilities that has not been inspected in years.
Nadeau was also pressed about the impact of an unsanitary environment.
But in terms of actual data, I don't have anything to say that going to school is bad for you or it's dangerous, but the potential is always there. But for us, it's prevention. That is our mission, to prevent. So if it requires the closure of school to prevent possible outbreak, then I think that's something that we need to do, and we will do.
Public Health says it lacks the resources to continuously inspect the schools, so it's also been training GDOE staff on how to conduct self-inspections.
We've always made ourselves available. We've always worked hand in hand with GDOE. We tried the carrot, we tried the stick, and unfortunately, the stick seems to be the one that works. When we start threatening to close down schools, then we see response.
So there are proactive and reactive strategies for trying to keep schools as healthy as possible, but the concerns remain clear, and maybe also the answers.
How is it okay for our students to go to schools in conditions that if we had, health and safety standards, rules, and regulations in place, would lead these schools to be shut down? How is that okay?
It's not okay, but you have to remember that this is a double-edged sword.
A double-edged sword, says Acting Education Superintendent Judy Wanpat, in that there's not enough staff to stay on top of all the preventive maintenance and not enough funding for all the materials and equipment they need.
So it's one of two things. Every year you appropriate the monies for the maintenance of all of these 35 schools, or every couple of years you're going to have to build new schools.
The bill also allows the superintendent to grant variances for good cause for schools who can't comply. Nestor Lecanto, KUAM News.
Meanwhile, Governor Leon Guerrero says she won't be declaring a state of emergency for the Guam Department of Education because she doesn't have the authority to do so. Senator Jesse Lujan is calling for the declaration, but the governor says that power rests with the legislature through the Guam Education Policy Board.
Leon Guerrero says while her authority is limited, she is in close contact with acting GDOE Superintendent Judy Wampad and will leverage all resources available to the executive branch to support her efforts. The governor says Wampad is pursuing procurements under the master plan for facilities as approved by the Education Board. Late today, Lujan responded, saying he'll ask Education Chair Chris Barnett to hold an oversight hearing with ADLU, GDOE, and public health officials to come up with a plan to fix the problems at the schools immediately. Emotions ran high for the family of Hoggett shooting victim AJ Mignola when they saw his alleged killer in court today.
Julian Hernandez has the story from inside the courtroom.
An emotional moment for two families inside the courtroom. Accused killer Nathan John Ojeda has been locked up inside the Department of Corrections since the shooting death of AJ Mignola in Hoggett in January. Ojeda today getting a short window with his parents after his defense attorney, Jocelyn Roden, asked presiding Judge Alberto Lamarena this.
His mother, father, and siblings are present in the front row of the court. He's wondering if he can just have a brief moment to embrace them, Your Honor. Just on his way to the jail cell. You don't need to do that.
Okay. One of AJ's family members sitting behind our camera, disgusted that they will no longer get the chance to hold their loved one. The frustration growing that even a deputy marshal with the judiciary had to step in. Take a listen.
You really get to do that. You get to do that. How you get to do that?
Just, we're okay.
The shooting happened about 2 months ago in front of Mignola's home in Hoggett. Ojeda allegedly telling police he was driving by when he was shot at first, before returning fire. Police still unable to pinpoint a motive for the shooting. For now, the court is left having to weigh if Ojeda is fit to stand trial for murder now that the results of his forensics evaluations are in. The exact details not yet made public, but Attorney Roden still has issues with the findings, adding that she could be making a request for Ojeda to undergo a second evaluation.
There is one particular part I'm a little concerned with, but I will review it with him. Also, Your Honor, regarding discovery, can I address that?
Yes.
I have the autopsy report, but I still need any test results, if there are any ballistic tests, if there's any, from the government. And
I put in that request already, yeah.
Okay.
Ojeda has since pleaded not guilty, and not guilty by reason of mental illness, to aggravated murder and murder charges. The parties again will get a chance to argue whether or not he is competent enough to stand trial. Ojeda is back in court on March 24th. Julian Hernandez, KUAM News.
Plea negotiations are ongoing for one of the men accused in the disappearance and killing of a Navy veteran. Prosecutors giving defendant Curtis James Bloss an offer ahead of his hearing before presiding Judge Alberto Lamarena in Superior Court today. Defense attorney Terrence Timblin.
I finally indicated you accept everything except the cooperation part, and that was conveyed to Mr. Pottis on January 11th after everything back. I'll resend it to Mr. Amano.
The details of the offer have not yet been made public. Timblin adding if Blas agrees to cooperating with the government, then he would have to testify against co-defendants Brandon Flaherty and Donovan Carriaga. Flaherty also got a plea deal from prosecutors. They are back in court on May 2nd. As KUAM reported, it was in September of 2017, Messier threatened to report his roommate for illegal drug activity. Messier then went missing before a witness later allegedly admitted the defendants brutally beat him and dumped his body. The Homeless Relocation Initiative causing a rift between Guam's Attorney General and the Homeless Coalition. Coalition Chair Samantha Taitsano, on behalf of the entire Board of Directors, airs out several concerns with the homeless relocation operation that went down last week. In an open letter addressed to AG Doug Moylan, she takes issue with a prematurely disbanding of the encampments, especially with show of force and, quote, vilifying panhandling under the guise of public safety.
in his letter, he did say that sometimes these encampments can be places that have violence, and we do recognize that. But that's not representative of every person, every situation, every encampment, right? So, we understand that there is a public safety concern, but at the same time, again, we're always going to advocate to make sure that we're thinking about the human side.
Moylan responding back in a 2-page open letter accusing the coalition of not being on site and, to his knowledge, not sharing any interest in helping, among other things. But Taitano says they weren't exactly invited.
They weren't actually invited to it. For even the press conference, the Office of Homelessness Assistance and Poverty Prevention invited us just to see if we had any sort of input. So it's not as if we've actually been invited to the table to participate in any of these activities.
Taitano is hoping for an open line of communication to find a solution to the island's homelessness problem.
And we're going to take a quick break, but first, happy Fresco Friday!
Happy Fresco Friday!
Our friends at Fresco, which I'm wearing again today, wants you to know they're hosting a Fresco clothing stop shop on Wednesday and Thursdays from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Fridays and Saturdays from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m.
That's right. Be sure to check them out to stay Fresco. They are located in Hagåtña across the Agana Shopping Center next to Morning Star Salon. Keep it here. You're watching KUAM.
Hey, Fresco Fridays on KUAM News. Presented by Fresco Clothing, original custom design apparel of Guam and the Marianas. Located in Hagåtña, just across from the Agana Shopping Center.
The wait is over, Guam. The all-new state-of-the-art car wash is now open at Cars Plus. Introducing Finish Line Express, open 7 days a week. The all-new cashless drive-through car wash is also the largest car wash on island that can accommodate vehicles such as lifted Jeeps and full-size pickup trucks. Just roll up, pick a wash, insert credit card, or show your EverWash app and roll through. Plus, power vacuums are available to clean the interior. Show your vehicle some love today at the all-new car wash at Cars Plus in Mighty. Open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
Welcome back to Prime Time. The Department of Defense officially meeting with CNMI Governor Arnold Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David Apatang in their quarterly talks about the military buildup in the Marianas.
Regional correspondent Tomas Mignola has the exclusive story as tensions rise in the region.
We live in a very dynamic region, and our forces have to be ready, and the facilities and the activities that we conduct in the CNMI, as well as the investments that we look to make, play a very, very important role in national security.
That security becoming more critical by the day as tensions between China and the U.S. escalate and the military builds up its might in the Marianas. The Department of Defense Friday holding its quarterly stakeholder meeting, this time with the new administration.
Times have changed in situations and our environment has shifted in the last year. And up to today as we speak, it's changing. And so a lot of these efforts and initiatives are by our Department of Defense and the federal government is much more critical than what we thought, say, last year or 5 years ago.
The 2015 Commonwealth Joint Military Training Plans have been scaled down from its initial scope after public outcry over its impact to the environment and culture. Last April, negotiations led to scrapping plans for a bombing range on Pagan and high Rubber live fire training on Tinian, where 2/3 of the island are leased to the military.
A lot of the times in the past, our language has been along the lines of, what do you need from us? What do you need from us? Kind of a process-driven sort of thing. And I'd like to shift that to how can we help?
We have worked together to try to come to a point where we all can exist. We can coexist on a very small island. I do have some issues with some of the things that are going to be presented in terms of good things for both of us.
We learned some of those projects include the Tinian Divert Airfield Sinamai's National Guard Initiative and the island's ports. KUAM had to leave the room after opening remarks due to the classified and what's called controlled unclassified information being shared. Before the meeting, the Commonwealth Bureau of Military Affairs' new director says they want mutual respect and accountability.
I believe that based on, like what happened in Guam during COVID, Guam's economy wasn't really affected because of the military presence there. So we're hoping to mimic that. We're requesting for more military training in the Sinamai. And I think it's just basically up to the governor, lieutenant governor.
The exact size of the military's footprint here and the details of their plans not yet public as the Commonwealth looks for new industries to recover from its fiscal crisis. Tomas Maglonia, KUAM News, Saipan.
Thanks, Tomas. We'll also up in the NMI today. Atkins Kroll Saipan officially breaking ground on its Atkins Kroll Toyota Lexus showroom and service center Friday. It's a $23 million investment for a new 43,800 square feet facility, the first of its kind on the island.
This also comes with the ability to provide more jobs and job opportunities into the community. We will be bringing in new, highly skilled and trained technicians, sales associates, as well as senior management positions with the new Lexus dealership.
We are thankful for your continued commitment to our community and to our economy.
The project is expected to be completed by fall 2024. The contractor is GPPC Inc. and the project managed by RE Partners, which is also the architect. AK has done business in Saipan for 56 years. In response to some concerns about the project from nearby residents, Alex Hammett with the company says they're looking after the community's health and safety and protecting the environment by complying with the local regulations.
Well, the Guam Community College Board of Trustees gave some updates on the completion status of the school's capital improvement projects in a meeting today. At the top of the list, the forensic lab is at 99.90%, with the need for equipment installation being the biggest holdup. Building 300 is inching along at 99.72%. A ribbon cutting is set to open the building by the end of the month, followed by the Student Center canopy at 5%. Solar panels to be installed soon, and other unfinished projects, including the Wellness and Workforce Development Centers, are coming along. Meanwhile, GCC looks to renovate Building 400 to construct a culinary and baking center with financial documents already submitted. And to celebrate Matsumoto Ture Cafe in East Hagåtña played host to local artist Paul Mignola Thursday night.
From notable scenic views to marine lives, Mendiola's paintings capture the spirit and beauty of Guam. Jonah Gachafris has more.
Adorning the walls of Ture Cafe were several paintings of familiar, picturesque landmarks on Guam, from Bear Rock in Inilohan to Fort Soledad in Humatec. The artwork done by 49-year-old Paul Mignola. Mignola recalls a moment he got into art when he was a young kid in the 80s, and his grandfather plopped a stack of white paper on the dining room table. He used that as an opportunity to doodle and draw.
And when he saw the drawings, he just couldn't stop raving about, oh, my grandson's an artist type stuff. And ever since then, art has just been my thing.
From there, Mignola would go on to win several local art competitions and was even afforded an opportunity to travel abroad for art workshops under a scholarship. As he got older, he still found time to hone his artistic skills, enrolling in art classes in art history, oil painting, and even sculptures. After living abroad for 20 years, he returned back to the island to practice dental hygiene and also share his love of art and inspire young students. However, it was at the start of the COVID pandemic when he was temporarily furloughed from his job where his love for painting was reignited after some much soul searching.
I've been just producing art, so as of today, I've probably painted about 150 pieces. And these pieces you can find, throughout Guam restaurants and stuff like that.
Many of these pieces proudly displayed during a Mes Chamorro art show at Ture Thursday evening, where Mignola draws inspiration.
It's just the beauty of Guam. You wouldn't really appreciate the beauty that you have here until you're gone. And so I was gone for roughly about 20 years, from 1992 to 2012. And I remember living in California, I was always thinking about how green Guam was, how blue the sky was. The colors here in Guam, I believe, are very highlighted. And that's what interests me a lot is, just how well the lighting is here on Guam.
To learn more about Mignola and view more of his artwork, look for Paul Mignola on Facebook and follow on Instagram at Pintura Chamorro.
It's a great way just to, sharing your passion for the arts. And I'm just truly grateful that I can connect and also bring folks to appreciate the arts.
Jonagan Charfris, KUAM News.
Now for a look at your world at home. Here's a view captured from the Para'ilalahita Park in Humatak.
The view and Chamorro music that you can listen to anytime with this QR code on Isla Digital Radio.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replay, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. If you feel it, come around with round. Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we give it to you. Everybody feel it, come around with everybody in the block. Everybody in the block. Everybody in the block. Everybody in the park. Everybody in the park. Everybody round.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Nothing but net. Welcome to KUAM Sports.
Tonight, it's media day for the McDonald's and Clutch All-Island Games. Plus, we take it to the mats with Guahan Jiu-Jitsu and all the action from the Isla High School track and field All-Island meet. Here is the final score.
I think it's really exciting to be surrounded by people who are really good at basketball, and I'm just excited that it's my last year and it's my last really official game, so I think I'm most excited about that.
Honestly, it's a bittersweet moment, but just to be able to be selected as one of Guam's top basketball players, just a really great feeling. And I just want to say shout out to Clutch, man. It feels like it was yesterday. I was here last year, man. It's just flabbergasted, as you can say. Yeah.
Just being selected, I'm very grateful for that opportunity because there's a lot of competitive players and a lot of good ones at that. And I don't know, it's an honor.
I think it's gonna be a fun game. I think we're also there to win and just enjoy our time.
I mean, it really means a lot, especially as a senior, with this being my last year, you know, just being included in something with like the best players all around. It's like an honor to play in the game, just to be here and have fun with everyone.
A good show. We're not gonna just play lax and just joke around. We're gonna put on a fight and our team's gonna try to win.
I think, well, both teams are like really stacked, so they can expect like a challenge, a little bit of fun here and there, but I think it's gonna be a good match.
Try to make it as competitive as possible, you know. As you know, everyone wants to see all the flashy highlights, but just try to go get the dub.
They can expect a lot of, I think, competitiveness, because it's going to be like the first time for like most of the girls that they're going to be challenging the private school since last year. So yeah.
Wow, great job to everyone out there.
Great job, everybody.
We'll be right back.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Buenos Zenhafides. As you all know, our islands had a very successful year, and I'd love to hear about all of the progress we've made. Skylar, why don't we start with you?
We've helped over 1,200 Guam kids and their families pay for childcare.
And that's over $5.5 million in childcare costs so far. Over 130 after-school and community care programs have received grant funding for programs like swimming.
And cycling.
And soccer. And jiu-jitsu.
We've also graduated 3 cohorts
in our water certification program at GCC.
and certified over 75 relative care providers.
Looks like we have a messaging coming from headquarters.
Hi kids, I just want to say congratulations on all your successes this past year.
Thank you, Governor Lou. We couldn't have done it without you.
Keep up the great work.
He's ready for recess.
Chat is paid for with funds administered by the Department of Public Health and Social Services.
Feed Me Fridays is brought to you by Devondale. Real milk from free grazing cows.
Half a day is Julianne from KUAM News, and today I'm stopping by Slingstone in Aganya to try their strawberry macchiato.
Buenas and Hafa Day, Guam. I stopped by our friends at Slingstone Coffee Shop and I got me a strawberry macchiato love. First of all, look how aesthetically pleasing this is. Like, it feels too, I don't know, I'm gonna feel a little bit bad to mixing it up, just a little bit. Let me see how it tastes. Oh my God, has the right amount of sweet with a hint of the coffee. I got the Devondale milk, and it really just, for me, it elevates the creaminess of the strawberry milk, and then blending it in with the coffee. It's just chef's kiss. Big thanks to our friends at Slingstone Coffee Shop and Devondale Milk for this lovely drink, and that's another edition for Feed Me Fridays.
And speaking of elevating the creaminess, she'll just sit there now. Time to get to your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shout out submitted on KUAM.com.
And also this week's winner of an ice cream cake courtesy of Cold Stone.
It's Friday, everybody. Happy birthday to Shiana Rose Cabrera Guzman. Happy sweet 16th to my baby girl. It breaks my heart not being there to celebrate with you on this special occasion, but I trust in God's plan, as you should. And continue to pray for a reunion. Enjoy your day. I love you and miss you so much. Say Mom, Joelle, Matt, Ethan, and the family. Ashton Kinsanidza, the island's newest 12-year-old, and happy to my son, S-O-N, Shine. Ashton, we wish you a special birthday. Shout out with love and hugs all the way from Oklahoma. Mama, Papa, Auntie Queenie, Uncle Brandon, Landon, Susie, Ava, Maddox, and Jax, and home on Guam. Mommy, Daddy, Evie, Lulu, Auntie Shashi, Cami, Alice, Lexi, and Uncle Ryan. Katrina Rochelle Materni Camacho, happy birthday to you with many more to come. To my beautiful wife and mother. This is coming from Junior, Gabriel, Franklin, and the Materni family. They say, we love you so much. Joven Michael Robigal, happy birthday to our big boy Joven. We love you, and we hope you have a wonderful birthday from both of your huge families. That's both of them. And you know, we got some business to get to, everybody, because this week's winner of a Cold Stone Creamery birthday cake is the lovely Miss Tin, otherwise known to you and me as Christine Leon Guerrero. Tin was born on March the 7th. So Tin, we'll let you know when you can pick up your prize.
Congratulations, Tin.
Congratulations, Tin, and happy birthday.
Estegui Eads and Mizu Primetime Show. Si Zus Maasi put in Enega, Guahusi Delgado.
Sa Guahusi Destiny Cruz, Nefan Safu Hamsu Gosa Ipwangi.
KUAM News Hotspot is brought to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
The governor and the Guam Police Department, citing the 2021 Uniform Crime Report, say crime rates are dropping. But crime, especially violent crime, continues to be one of the community's top concerns. The UCR data quoted by the administration indicates that violent crime is down 5.4%, burglaries fell by 3.9%, carjackings dropped 9.3%, and the number of arrests increased by 7.1%. Still, that may be of little consolation to crime victims who are detailed in the daily magistrate's complaints sent out by the court. Now, freshman Senator Tom Fisher, a longtime local attorney who's all too familiar with the trends of the Guam criminal justice system, has come out with a bill meant to help curb the violence. His legislation seeks to increase the penalties for the possession and use of a gun in the commission of a felony. Specifically, it amends the statute to mandate no less than 10 years in prison, fines, and a permanent criminal record. Is there a need to stem a growing wave of violent crime on Guam? We'll talk with Senator and Attorney Tom Fisher coming up.
All right, and happy day, and welcome to the Hub. I'm Nestor Lecanto, and we're joined by Senator Tom Fisher, who recently introduced a bill to stiffen the penalties for possession and use of a gun in the commission of a felony. Senator, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, I asked you to come on because you're not only a senator, but you're also an attorney who's very familiar with, the criminal justice system and the use of guns and crime. So first of all, can you explain your bill and what it does?
Okay, sure. There is a statute. It's been on the books for years and years and years. It's possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. If you're convicted of using a deadly weapon, the floor on the sentence is 5 years. But what this bill does is it's a carve out for people using guns. And if you use a gun in the commission of a felony, the floor is not 5 years, it's 10 years to 25. So, I mean, fundamentally, that's the way the bill works. But what's the purpose of the bills? Toughen up statutes addressing crimes on island and seeing what we can do to foreclose a criminal wave that I'm afraid is happening with the crystal methamphetamine epidemic. And I'm very, very worried. I'm not the only one. Many people are very worried about the onslaught of fentanyl on the island. You know, we had a terrible scare last week at UMS, and we know for a fact that fentanyl is here. We know for a fact it's been discovered in the Department of Corrections, and it's got to stop. We're not going to allow it. You know, you've heard me say this before. Many people have heard me say this before, but you know, we lost the war on crystal methamphetamine. We are not going to lose the war on fentanyl. We cannot have another generation of our people destroyed by a substance like this. You know, people have said it before, but crystal methamphetamine and fentanyl, you know, they were developed in hell. These are just the worst drugs, and we're not going to allow it. We're going to be working with the local partners. We're going to be working with federal partners, and we are simply not going to allow this drug to infect the community.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about the floor, the sentencing guidelines for the use of deadly weapons, and you specifically wanted to identify guns in your legislation. Why do that?
Well, the reason, one thing is the use of guns in the commission of felonies is rising. One of the things that I'm sure you remember, you know, I'm from the South. I live in Talafofo. And we actually had a Q-Mart down there. We actually had an armed robbery, and there was a shooting. And, you know, that was a wake-up call for the entire community, north, south, east, and west. This is a region of Guam, which is quiet, it's bucolic, and, you know, we just don't have that sort of thing happening down south, in accordance with the law and in accordance with after a conviction, in accordance with the request of the Attorney General. By and large, they do so. It would be unfair to the judiciary as well as the AG's office to say that they were skewing lower on sentencing. I don't believe that's the case. But they work with the tools the legislature gives them, and we're going to give them a new tool. This one's 10 years, not, you know, if you're using a gun, 10 years. If you have an abandoned heart and you think it's appropriate or allowable to brandish a gun, point it at someone and insist that, you know, whatever the crime is, I'm going to take your wallet or whatever, and, you know, potentially destroy a person's peace for the rest of their life. You know, I've got no problem with putting you in jail for at least 10 years. I'm happy to do it. And it's not me doing it. You know, actions have consequences. And that's one of the things that I don't want to be a scold here, but, you know, people might say, like a fentanyl bill that I've also introduced. And under that bill, even for negligence, even for an accident, if a child under the age of 18 comes into contact with fentanyl and it's essentially your fault, you screwed up, you left it on your table, you're going to go to jail for decades. And if that child is hurt, you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. And people sometimes say, well, that seems kind of harsh. Well, I don't know that it is harsh. You know, when you cause, even accidentally, when you cause the death of a child, you have to pay the consequences. You have to pay the consequences for being so negligent, so reckless that you have that filth in your house and you allow a child to come into contact with it. So actions have consequences, and
yeah,
you're going to pay.
When you craft legislation such as your fentanyl bill and your gun bill, is the intent more towards punishment, or is it more towards a focus on deterrence, or is it a combination of both?
Well, primarily, as we're moving forward on this particular action, it's deterrence. That is the necessity. Punishment comes along with it, but we're in an emergency situation here where we've got to stop this. You know, crystal methamphetamine is now cheaper than marijuana. It's cheaper than marijuana on the island. it's if this trend continues, well, it's just going to Guam's just going to become a hellscape, and it's our responsibility as adults. It's our responsibility as people in the community, as police officers, as teachers, as parents, as legislators, as lawyers, doctors, whatever. It's our responsibility to take care of the village. It's our responsibility to make sure that the very most vulnerable people on island, the children as well as the elderly, are protected. It's just actions have consequences.
All right. Hey, Senator, we got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more of our conversation with Senator Tom Fisher right after this.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Okay, and we're back. Senator, before the break, we talked a little bit about, or we said we would talk about the governor and the administration's position on crime, and they recently came out with a news release about the report that cites the crime has gone down in some instances, in particular violent crime. Your bill, as you mentioned earlier, is meant to try and deter violent crime, but what first of all is your reaction to the governor's position that crime and violent crime has gone down overall?
Well, my reaction to that initially is, if that's true, congratulations to the Guam Police Department. Congratulations to those women and men for bringing the crime rate down. But I have to say concurrently that people in the villages do not feel that that is the case. They just I've talked to many people, and that report was greeted with skepticism. I hope it's true, but it sure doesn't feel safer. It does not feel safer in the communities, and maybe that's a lagging indicator. I don't know, but if the crime rate's coming down, then I'm the first person to take my hat off to GPD and the governor for helping us on that one. But it doesn't really feel like that, Nestor.
Yeah, and perception is often reality, right? I mean, it's what people are seeing out there. And this is anecdotal as well, because we get the magistrate's complaints on a daily basis, and I go through them, and I see it. You get 3, 4, 7, 8, 10 cases a day, and a lot of them are violent crime, family violence, assaults, burglaries, that sort of thing. So anecdotally, it doesn't seem like, it may be going down, but it may not be as significant as what came out from the administration. So
right, and it's like what you said. Perception is often reality, and people have a right to feel peace, quiet, and safety in their own homes. And if they're not feeling peace, quiet, and safety in their own homes, I'm not real interested in your statistics. I'm interested in making sure that they actually are safe, that they actually are able to enjoy themselves in peace. So
yeah, and as I mentioned, you're a long time attorney in Guam, so you've been in and around, the court system. And can you put your finger on why we're seeing this rise over the last decade or so, or maybe even longer, in violent crime in particular? Is it just can we blame it just on ICE, or is there other maybe societal issues behind this?
Well, there is the fundamental human condition. There will always be an element of misbehavior in any society, but I have to keep pointing my finger at crystal methamphetamine. The war on ICE started, I think, in the last half of the Guterres administration, and here we are, 25 years later, and it's worse than ever. It's worse than ever. And, you see these things. We talked earlier about a shooting in Talafofo. I'm positive that was ICE related. Thefts in the neighborhood, those are ICE related. People are taking your bush cutter and selling it and getting, at this point, you can probably get 2 grams of ICE, unfortunately. And the property crimes, and people are just losing their mind on this stuff, family violence, etc., and so forth. It just springs from the same corrupt root, and that's crystal methamphetamine.
Yeah. In addition to that, how much of a, I don't know what to characterize it as a societal breakdown, but, there's a lot of, broken families, maybe the extended family system that Guam, thrived on for generations is kind of a lot less now. How about, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, I guess my initial reaction when I heard you asking that question was anger. I think everything you said is absolutely right, but at the same time, I'm aware of some of these drug dealers here on island. They parade around the community like they're princes or something. People treat them with a measure of respect they absolutely do not deserve, and then they've got all this cash. What are they doing with it? They're plowing it into what looks like a legitimate business in order to launder it. And nobody apparently bats an eye. I had a meeting, I don't know when that was, about a month and a half ago, with Doug Moylan, asking him about the tools that they have, and whether or not they've got a unit over there at the AG's office that can handle essentially criminal RICO cases to bust people who are, you buy a restaurant or a car dealership or whatever, and you start plowing your dirty money through that and washing it, and it goes into a bank, et cetera, and so forth, and whether or not the Attorney General's office has the skills right now and the experience to handle criminal RICO cases, racketeering, influence, and corrupt organization cases. I hope they do. I'm not sure, but if they don't have it, the legislature is just right down the street to help you get that tool. So you asked me what my reaction was. The initial one was anger when you think of these people that, it's mind altering. It's mind bending to think that somebody for just filthy money is willing to sacrifice other people's health, its lives, just so they can enrich themselves. I don't get that equation at all, and I think most people on Guam do not get that equation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that your chairman, Senator Barnett, recently held an oversight hearing that brought in, the police department and other to address this, and that did come up. It's not that they don't know maybe who these drug kingpins are, but there's been very little action against them over the years. That, as you say, they've been allowed to kind of operate in it with impunity, and it's taken a toll on the community. So what's going to happen? What's going to be done?
We're going to take those organizations apart. We're going to take them apart. If you are involved in a scheme, if committing a crime, we're going to seize the instrumentalities of the crime, and that includes your mother's Lexus that you're driving around with at night with an ice pipe under the seat. We're going to take that Lexus. We're going to take that stuff. We're going to sell it. It's no tolerance, zero tolerance. But that is very easy to say. No tolerance. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But we have to make sure that the Attorney General's office has the tools. They need. If we expect them to do the job, we got to give them the tools to do the job. And I worked in the Attorney General's office 20, 30 years ago. I think that they're having some significant challenges right now. Getting experienced prosecutors. I love the fact that we get new prosecutors in. They're fresh out of law school and raring to go and stuff. But some of these cases, these RICO cases, are particularly complex, especially when you start dealing with things like the Department of Revenue and Taxation, and you're trying to track income streams and so forth. They're complex. They require expertise, and I'm first in line to give those tools to Doug Moylan.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but I wanted to delve deeper into, you mentioned RICO. So we'll talk about more about that, and you can explain what that means right after this break, Senator.
Okay, thank you.
The wait is For Guam, the all-new state-of-the-art car wash is now open at Cars Plus. Introducing Finish Line Express, open 7 days a week. The all-new cashless drive-through car wash is also the largest car wash on island that can accommodate vehicles such as lifted Jeeps and full-size pickup trucks. Just roll up, pick a wash, insert credit card, or show your EverWash app and roll through. Plus, power vacuums are available to clean the interior. Show your vehicle some love today at the all-new car wash at Cars Plus in Mighty. Open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week.
All right, we're back with Senator Tom Fisher, and we were talking before the break about RICO. It's RICO. Can you explain, first of all, Senator, for those who might not be familiar, what that means?
Yeah, RICO, it's an acronym for Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations. Began as a federal law, and the idea was, with so many people involved in all these diverse criminal activities, sometimes it was very difficult to, roll it all up and take care of it. And it was hampering prosecutions of these criminals. So Congress came up with a statute that said, they described if you do, 2 to 3 of these corrupt acts, you are also guilty of a RICO violation. Well, many jurisdictions, including Guam, have picked up sister statutes, things that are like that. And we have that as well. Corrupt organization statutes. If we can prove certain circumstances that a person or a business is undertaking, well, that's a crime itself, also in and of itself, and it removes the burden a little bit on the prosecution, and it also increases the penalties. So these are complex statutes, and it requires a lot of work putting your house together to take these losers down. And it's not something that, a fresh prosecutor would feel comfortable doing. We need the expertise. Absolutely need the expertise. And, just to repeat myself, legislature's right here to help you, Doug. So, it's a good statute, very good statute.
And I know that, the federal authorities, the DEA in particular, are kind of the lead in combating, drug crimes in Guam. How much coordination, if any at all, has there been between the federal authorities and the local authorities? And should there be more coordination? And what are your thoughts on that?
I think there's quite a bit of cooperation going on among all of the agencies and between the agencies. Many of our people are actively assisting in federal investigations, and I think there is a constant exchange of information. But, they're also very careful not to step on each other's toes. These things are often secret, and you don't want to go blundering into, somebody else's investigation and upturn the whole thing. So I know that there is an extent of cooperation that, attempts to avoid those situations, and also allows for the prosecution and arrest in these things. So I think the amount of cooperation is sufficient. I think the agencies are comfortable with it. I think the agencies, when I say agencies, I'm talking about the government of Guam as well as the United States. I think the agencies are by and large comfortable with the arrangements. They're by and large comfortable with their section of the pie that they are dealing with. And it's all hands on deck. The federal government, the DEA, FBI, whichever agencies are out here and looking are just, I know that they are enormously concerned with the inflow of crystal meth through the mails and also through our port. That is just, you kind of want to throw your hands up, but you can't. We just have to double down, It's just our job.
Yeah, I'm not sure how rhetorical this question is, but why haven't we solved? ICE has been around since the 90s or even before, and it's still around. And as you said earlier, it's cheaper than marijuana now. Why haven't we been able to?
That I'm killing people. That is the motivation behind crystal methamphetamine. But why haven't we been able to get on top of it? Well, we need to look in the mirror for that one. Are we punishing people who are embedded in the government who might be trading crystal methamphetamine? Are we tracking and punishing people as they move across agencies and have been moved from here to there because of drug problems and so forth? Are we really paying attention to it? Are we serious about it? Or do we think, well, you know, I've got to connect, I can get out of this mess or whatever? We need to look in the mirror to find out why we are why we are losing that war. And we need to stop tolerating it, and we need to stop tolerating it at the family level. You know, lately we've been having a debate here on Guam about homelessness and panhandling and so forth and so on. Many of these people who are on the street have crystal methamphetamine problems, and the reason they're on the street is their family just reached the end of the rope with these people, and there's nothing they can do. They can't allow this infectious agent to remain within the family unit, and out they go, and they're on the streets. You know, I'm a one-trick pony here, but it's meth, meth, meth.
Yeah. We're going to take one more break, and we'll be back to wrap up this show and final thoughts from Senator Tom Fisher. Don't go away.
See what's on TV tonight with schedules, network news and notes, local promotions and giveaways on KUAM Communications social media pages. Like and follow us on Facebook or Instagram now for all the latest and never miss out.
All right, Senator, we got about a minute or so left. Just wanted to get your final thoughts on, so what do? We need to think outside the box, come up with something new? What are you thinking of in terms of additional legislation going forward?
Well, punishment for sure. We're going to start, you know, when I did that fentanyl bill, people come up to me and says, why aren't you doing the same thing with methamphetamine? That's an absolutely valid point. Why not? So there's that aspect, you know, punish. But we've just got to do something. This is no time for the faint of heart. We can't give the next generation. You know, we've already lost maybe a generation and a half to this disaster. We just cannot lose anymore. We can't lose anymore. It is an island-wide emergency. We can't tolerate it in the villages. We can't tolerate it in our houses. We can't tolerate it because we can't hand this problem off to our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It's our responsibility. It is our responsibility. We are the ones that were elected. We are the ones who are charged with doing something about this, and we will do something about it. But it's not. Just don't tolerate it. My message would be: do not tolerate it. Don't tolerate it of your husband, your wife, your children, or whatever. Just no. It's an evil that we need to extract. You know, I feel passionate about it because I see the destruction, and you know, we can't just skate along. You know, that like it's somebody else's problem. It's not. It's your problem and mine.
All right, that's Senator Tom Fisher. Thank you for your insight. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
All right, I'm Nestor Lecanto. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week on The Hub.